Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Signs, Planets, and Stellar Rhythms. My name is Erik Roth, shamanic astrologer, here to bring you more information about what's going on in astrology and in the sky. So really happy to dive into this next thing, which has, of course, has to do with another eclipse coming up, is that we are in the eclipse season here in the fall of 2022 here in the Northern Hemisphere, and then, of course, the spring below south of the equator. So without further ado, I will get into the material here. All right, we have a Taurus lunar eclipse. This is episode 42 of this series of Signs, Planets, and Stellar Rhythms. And yeah, we just experienced a few days ago at this time of this recording here, October 28th, 2022. 3 days ago, we experienced a partial solar eclipse in Scorpio. So this will be the second eclipse in this eclipse season and the fourth one into the year 2022. So let's take a look at what else we have to share. So we can see here, the one that just happened before this was in conjunction with Venus at 2 degrees Scorpio. It was a partial, although it was 82% covered according to timeanddate.com. And there was another, I think it was space weather, that showed it was 86% covered. So anything over 80%, it's much more than a partial solar eclipse. But this one comes up here November 8th, 2022, a total lunar eclipse. And this one's conjunct Uranus at 16 degrees Taurus. And so we're going to, as we covered a little bit in the eclipses in earlier this year in 2022 in the spring here in Northern Hemisphere, Taurus was definitely a part of it and continues to be a part of it during this eclipse season. So the qualities of this is, it's like an archetype that stands for the bounty, the fruitful bounty of Mother Earth, or the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Earthly Delights, we can even call it that. It's the intimate personalness of the five physical senses, the savoring of the comforts, pleasures, and sensuality of our physical expression. It's also related to being an epicure and knowing what is good, the quality and the savoring of what really truly is good, and to experience those pleasures and comforts thoroughly. It is an archetype that is, at its essence, a true receiver. Now, this brings up a lot of issues around how a lot of things are centered around giving, and as far as what is best. Oh, it's best to keep giving. It's to give, to give, to give. But yet, when it comes to entertainment, it's about receiving, and we have so much out there here in the Western world about receiving the pleasures and comforts as well. So it's being able to do it without feeling the guilt, without feeling that you have to give back. And that is what Taurus is about. It's like enjoying the gift, savoring it, and to some degree, having others with you to share it with at that time. Not always, but that could be part of the Taurus archetype here. So this total lunar eclipse here takes place at 16 Taurus, and we can see here in the sky, we see Uranus. Now, graphically speaking, it looks like it's covering up the planet Uranus, but I'm not necessarily, we can't actually see Uranus in the sky, but we can see that this is a full moon eclipse, and we see that right there. Now, in this part of the sky. Now, some of us are blessed enough to be able to see this in the early morning skies on November 8th. We'll get to see an amazing part of the sky. The Lakota sacred hoop of stars, it'll be high in the sky. You can see part of it right here with the bull, Mars between the horns of the bull at that time. We also see Orion's hand coming up, connecting to this, the very top of this sky chart here. It shows this is where the sun would be at the June solstice. And then We see the bull, we see Aldebaran. Actually, that's not Spica. That's actually, I was going to label Pleiades here in Aldebaran, but Spica was on the opposite side of the sky in the previous eclipse, where the partial solar eclipse took place. So that's just a little error on my part, so disregard that. But we can see Aldebaran here and Pleiades right here. And then actually, there it is, Algol. This is a really important star. This is what was projected on here by the Greeks and Romans is this hero figure, Perseus, that was carrying the head of Medusa, and the head that had the power to turn the Leviathan and the sea monster into stone. But it's also a story that captures the essence of the patriarchy's takeover of the feminine and cutting off, stealing the power essentially of the feminine and utilizing it for their own benefit. And that was we'll be able to see that in the sky in the evening and that early morning time with this during this time of eclipse. Of course, this is visible now in the early morning as of this recording in late October, but this part of the sky will become more and more visible as the season wears on. November and December and January and February and on until it starts to get into the glare of the sun by the mid to late springtime. So this is where I would share, get a chance to go out. It'll be worth waking up in the middle of the night to go see it. So there have been 2 total lunar eclipses in this year, and this will be one where we'll get to see it here in North America, where I live. Now, here's the eclipse map of where the visibility track is. So it's centered on the Pacific Ocean, and a great deal of probably half of Asia will be able to see some parts of it. China, Mongolia, Russia, Japan, the South Pacific, a little bit of it in Southeast Asia, Indonesia, parts of the Malaysia and parts of Australia. New Zealand will get to see the full amount. Hawaii as well, Alaska, Canada, most of the US and Mexico. And then South America will be able to see a small portion of it. But it's in Africa and Europe that will have the least amount or none at all, because it'll be daytime there, and they won't be able to see very much of the total lunar eclipse here. So you can find these maps at timeanddate.com. I've got one here, and I recommend that. It's a great reference website for looking up eclipses and different things about the moon and sun and other celestial events, as far as also time differences and calculating number of days between dates and so forth. So it's really kind of a cool, website, at least for, the time nerds out there and eclipse nerds. There's plenty of information out there around that. But how long is this eclipse? Well, lunar eclipses tend to be a lot longer than the solar one. And this is including the penumbral phases, which is the phase that is hard to detect with the naked eye, but it's just like the beginnings of a shadow, kind of a very faint shadow on the face of the moon. The overall time is almost 6 hours long. So between the beginning and end, including the penumbral phases of all the eclipse phases, but the totality is fairly long too. It's almost an hour and a half, 1 hour and 25 minutes. So if you're wanting to stay up, and this is, 3 o'clock Pacific time, 3 a.m. is when the center of that totality is. And you can go anywhere from about, maybe 2:30-ish, maybe 2:20 until about maybe 3:30, 3:45 a.m., somewhere around there, where it'll start to ebb away and move into a partial lunar eclipse. But this is a pretty long eclipse, and it'll be in a part of the sky that's really incredible to see. with the Lakota sacred hoop of stars overhead, and a lot of references to be able to see, especially with Mars between the horns of the bull, you're able to kind of connect the dots of the ecliptic just a bit with that. And then Jupiter will have already set by then, and Saturn will have already set by then. Venus and Mercury are not visible during this time. So really Mars is the only planet that will be visible to the naked eye. But Uranus will be conjunct the moon during this time. So it'll be fascinating to see that. So what is the Sabian symbol of this November 8th total lunar eclipse? Well, this is it takes place at 16 degrees Taurus, and which means 17 Taurus in the Sabian symbol. Now, in Linda Hill's book, Sabian Oracle, I always recommend that, but anything by Dame Rajar as well, really good reference. In fact, she draws a lot of her material from there too. But it's the symbol of this is the symbolic battle between the swords, the disciples of might, and the torches, the disciples of enlightenment. And the key words of this are the battle of might versus light, spear of destiny, spiritual differences, arguments, inquisition, crusades, bringing love and light to war zones, the pen being mightier than the sword, peace marches, candles, torches, weapons, and the might of the media. Now, this one of the more recent eclipses, I look at this as a pretty intense Sabian symbol. Like, this is, especially considering that it's on, and here in the United States, it's on the day of our midterm elections. This eclipse will happen just a few hours before the opening of voting and the counting of the ballots, and on the East Coast of the US. So this is fascinating that this happens to represent a certain duality of truths and split of our country, the U.S., and the two political party system and the extreme ends of them. And I look at this as definitely another part of that crossroads that gets deeper and more dynamic, and potentially even more divisive as we go forward in the future. So I write here the symbolism of this, and idealisms and spiritual battles, and the use of power and strength against reason, intelligence, and as well as love. And essentially, this is something that can be used by those with power and or money to get their way. Propaganda, misuse of media are also part of this, which could include, of course, social media. But it is also can show the energy of not using any kind of weapons of violence, such as the sword, but working through light, love, and the reality of what enlightenment really is all about. Now, I happen to think that a lot of folks are going to, the intensity is going to be pretty strongly present. And so it may be difficult for people to like sit and relax and be able to and have introspection. But this is where Taurus comes in. And Taurus is about sitting back in introspection and relaxing and enjoying what one is experiencing around them, in meaning like, experiencing the pleasure, receiving the gifts of Earth, and connecting with Mother Nature, for example, intimacy with the partner, and with perhaps food and a massage. I mean, these are things that Taurus invites. It's symbolic of Taurus. So maybe this is like a counter way to this would be to help bring those together in a way where it kind of softens the intensity, where it's not about like, we don't have to decide the fate of the universe right at this moment. What is this? Is this a life or death situation? What is this? So certainly my feel is around this with Taurus, when it comes to Taurus, is its relationship to Mother Earth. And that's the one who's really the one that is kind of, might say, fighting for her life in our relationship to her. Now, she will go on well beyond us, So whether we exist on this planet or not, we're here to be, in my view, to be stewards, to be caretakers. And perhaps this election will have some of that energy in there and be represented in that way, or at least share a message around that. But also around the world too. This isn't just taking place here in the US, but around the world. Like, what is our relationship to the earth, and how can we uh, have a more beneficial relationship to our planet? It's the only one we've got. And, we've got to live on it and, make that relationship more healthy and stronger instead of just ignoring and detaching from that. So here's the chart, and this is where it gets even more complicated. Here's the eclipse right up here in Taurus, and Uranus is only a degree away from the moon at the time of the eclipse. The North Node is only 2.5 degrees away. So if we just look at this is, to me, this is what we call kind of like a rocket ship of unpredictable nature, moving in an unpredictable way as far as toward our, you might say, our future destiny, our future timeline. And bringing Taurus along with that means that there's something alongside with the beauty and sensuality of the earth and our relationship to it, and how can that manifest in a more healthy way. Now, this is, again, I talked about Uranus there. There's a potential for a major breakthrough, meaning that whatever is taking place here with Saturn square, that perhaps some seeds are planted and helping us have some level of new life coming through that is responsible and actually shows up in a way that is also accountable and plants the seeds for the long-term future. But it can have the opposite, where the resistance could take hold and it could actually create more divisiveness and more challenges, and where we could reach, in the years to come, another crisis, because Earth is in a crisis right now, and our relationship to Earth is in a crisis, and we're at the effects. Humanity is also in turn in crisis mode, and at this turning of the ages, this eclipse is one little second on the proverbial global clock, if you will, of ticking off of a major highlight. So this is important, but it doesn't define everything that we are. But it is an important marker. Well, we can see Mercury and Venus all clustered around the sun here. The sun, the Venus is starting to move away. It's about 4 degrees away from the sun now, and by the end of November will be roughly visible to the naked eye. So we've got all that scorpionic energy. So a lot of life force, a lot of profound, really, what do you want to call it? Intensity, cathartic, strong, powerful energy coming through. Meanwhile, the polarity with Taurus balances that out. So we have this potential to, have something very unusual and unique resulting from, I'm not just talking about the midterms here in the US, but something beyond it, something in humanity to really show up in a big way. So that's how we can really become more of who we are, and launch into a new set of instructions, if you will, at this turning of the ages. Okay, so this is also part of an eclipse family. This is a Saros 136, and every eclipse family is 18 years, about 18 years and 11 days long. And the last time this happened, it happened at 5 degrees Taurus in 2004, October 28th. And then again, it will happen on November 18th, 2040. So 10 days after, 10 days and 18 years after this, take place at 2703 in Taurus. And we're at right now in this family, this is like the peak of this Saros family. We're nearing that peak. And so this is what we can call peak intensity with this particular family. So this adds into the sharing of what I've just shared here about the chart and the Sabian symbol, and really the visibility of this in the sky, you know, with the star groups that are around it. This is really a remarkable eclipse and worth checking out. So hopefully for all of you that are in the nighttime to see this, that have, you know, are blessed with relatively clear skies or enough to be able to see the eclipse, because it's, even with clouds, sometimes you can see the eclipse, a lunar eclipse, if part of the sky is, you know, if the clouds are a little bit thinner. So, so let's cross our fingers there. And I know where I live, it can be cloudy a lot of the times this year here in Southern Oregon in the early to mid fall. So, and by that point, we'll be past the mid fall. We're just past the mid fall point there. So, thank you all for being a part of this. I hope you like, and if you like this, please hit like and subscribe. If you want to hear more and watch more of these videos, and share that as well. You can reach me at inspiralnexus.com and subscribe to my newsletter, which I talk about more of these stuff. I write articles and share where I'm going to be presenting in classes and fairs and online courses, as well as doing personal readings online and you know, in person too. Again, it can be found at inspiralnexus.com. And you can also go to mystaralchemy.com. Kaylin Costello and I are continuing to do an online course about the zodiacal constellations and how to work with them, the magic and alchemy of them, as well as astrologically, which is kind of weaved into that whole thing. And then Shamanic Astrology Paradigm was founded by Daniel Giamario at attorneyoftheages.com. So I wish you all well and happy eclipse watching, and take care, everyone, until next time.